My wife's affair cost me everything, even my son. 15 years later, he found me in Spat. You chose yourself over US. I smiled, handed him a birth certificate, and said, I would have chosen you. But turns out, I was never given the choice. I met my wife, Sarah, during our college years in Chicago. We were both studying business and shared dreams of building a life together. After graduation, we got married and settled in a quiet suburb, buying a modest house and starting our careers. A few years later, we were blessed with a son, Ethan, who became the center of our world. Life seemed perfect, but cracks began to appear. Sarah started working late, attending frequent business trips, and became increasingly distant. I noticed her secretive behavior with her phone and her sudden interest in fitness. I tried to be supportive, thinking it was work stress. One evening, I came home early to surprise her and found her in our bed with another man, her colleague, Mark. The betrayal was devastating. Sarah confessed to a year-long affair. We divorced, and she got full custody of Ethan, painting me as unstable due to my emotional breakdown. The court believed her, and I was granted supervised visitation, which she often canceled. Eventually, she moved to another state without informing me, and I lost all contact with Ethan. I sent birthday cards, letters, and emails, none were acknowledged. I hired a private investigator, but they had changed their names and left no trace. I was erased from my son's life. 15 years passed. One day, I received a message on social media from a young man named Ethan. He wanted to meet. We arranged to meet at a cafe. He walked in, tall and confident, the spitting image of me at his age. But his eyes were cold. You chose yourself over us, he spat. I was taken aback. Ethan, I tried to be there. Your mother, don't talk about her, he snapped. She told me everything. How you abandoned us. I reached into my bag and handed him a folder. Inside was a birth certificate, court documents, and letters I had written over the years. I would have chosen you, I said softly. But turns out, I was never given the choice. He read through the documents, his hands trembling. Tears welled up in his eyes. I'm sorry, he whispered. We sat in silence, the weight of years of lies and pain between us. Ethan and I started meeting regularly. He confronted his mother about the lies, and their relationship became strained. He decided to move in with me temporarily to rebuild our bond. We attended therapy together, slowly unpacking the years of hurt. It wasn't easy, but we were making progress. One day, he asked, do you still love her? I shook my head. I loved the woman I thought she was, not the one who took you away from me. He nodded, understanding. Sarah reached out, wanting to meet. Ethan agreed, hoping for closure. We met at a neutral location. She apologized, admitting to her mistakes and the lies she told. She claimed she thought she was protecting Ethan. I listened but remained silent. Ethan spoke. You didn't protect me. You robbed me of a father. She broke down, and we left. Ethan decided to stay with me permanently. We continued therapy and started creating new memories. We went on trips, cooked together, and talked for hours. One evening, he said, I'm glad you didn't give up on me. I smiled. I never could. Life has a way of coming full circle. The pain of the past can't be erased, but it can be healed. Ethan and I are proof of that. A few months after Ethan moved in with me, things were finally starting to feel normal. He was opening up more, laughing even. We cooked dinner together, talk about his school, his life, what little of it he was comfortable sharing. I was careful not to push too hard. I didn't want to scare him off. But just when I thought the storm had passed, another one was coming. It started with a knock at my door on a Saturday morning. I opened it to find a woman I didn't recognize. Early 40s, professionally dressed, serious face. She introduced herself as Vanessa, Sarah's sister. I hadn't seen her since the divorce. I need to talk to you, she said. I didn't want to let her in, but I did. She walked in like she owned the place, glanced around, then sat down on my couch without asking. You think she's the villain, don't you? She started. I didn't say anything. She's sick. Diagnosed 2 months ago. Ovarian cancer. Stage 4. The words hit me like bricks. Not because I still loved Sarah, I didn't, but because of Ethan. Because he didn't know. She hasn't told him? I asked. Vanessa shook her head. She's ashamed. Doesn't want pity. But she also doesn't want to die without making things right. She wants to see Ethan. She just doesn't know how to ask. I told Vanessa I'd think about it. That night, I sat down with Ethan. I need to tell you something, I said. He listened quietly. When I told him about Sarah, he didn't cry. He just stared at the wall for a long time. She lied to me. Took you from me. And now she wants sympathy, he said, voice cold. She's still your mom. She stopped being my mom the moment she erased you. I didn't push him. He went to his room and slammed the door. A few days passed. Ethan was quiet. Moody. I gave him space. One night, I found him sitting on the porch, staring at his phone. I looked her up, he said. She doesn't look like I remember. She's been through a lot. So have I. I nodded. You don't have to forgive her. But maybe you need to say what you want to say, before it's too late. He didn't respond, but the next morning, he asked me to drive him. Sarah was living in a small apartment in Indianapolis now. We drove in silence. When we arrived, Vanessa opened the door. Sarah was lying on the couch, looking frail. Her skin was pale, her hair thinner. Her eyes lit up when she saw Ethan, but he stood frozen. He didn't say a word, just stared. I'm sorry, Sarah whispered. I know it means nothing now, but I am. You don't know what you took from me, Ethan said, voice shaking. You made me hate a man who never stopped loving me. You lied. Every day. And for what? She reached out, but he stepped back. I'm here because I needed to see your face. Not because I forgive you. She cried. He turned and walked out. I followed. We drove back without saying a word. When we got home, he said, I thought seeing her would make me feel better. But it just made me feel more lost. I know, I said. A week passed. Then two. Then one morning, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a copy of a will. Sarah had named Ethan the sole heir of everything she had left, including a sealed envelope addressed to me. Inside was a paternity test. It was dated 2 months after Ethan's birth. The father's name was blank. I stared at the test, then at the words at the bottom of the letter Sarah had written. I lied to both of you. I'm not sure Ethan is yours. I never took the test. But when you started asking questions back then, I panicked. I told the court you weren't stable because I knew you'd fight for him. And I was scared of losing. I sat there for hours, numb. Ethan came home from a walk. I need to show you something, I said. I handed him the letter. He read it. Slowly. Quietly. Then he looked at me. So what now? He asked. You might not be my dad? I didn't know how to answer. I just said the only thing I was sure of. I still want to be your father. I always have. He didn't say anything. Just walked to his room. And now we wait. For the results. For whatever truth is hiding in our blood. A week after we mailed off the DNA test kit, Ethan was quieter than usual. He wasn't angry, just distant. I didn't push. He'd been through enough. Every time I looked at him, I saw my younger self. Same stubborn jaw. Same restless eyes. But now doubt crept in. Maybe I only saw what I wanted to see. 3 days before the results were due, I got a phone call. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Is this Daniel Carter? The man asked. Yes. My name is Harold Grayson. I believe we need to talk. It's about Sarah. The name didn't ring a bell, but the tone sent a chill down my spine. Who are you? I'm Ethan's biological father. My chest tightened. What did you just say? I didn't know he existed until last month. Sarah contacted me, told me everything. She was afraid the truth would come out. He sounded calm. Too calm. She told me she put your name on the birth certificate because you were her husband and she thought you'd make a better father. I didn't even know she was pregnant. I would have stepped up. I hung up. That night, I didn't sleep. The next morning, I told Ethan everything. About the call. About Harold. He didn't say a word. He went into his room and slammed the door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. The next day, I found Ethan gone. No note. No text. Nothing. I called everywhere. Friends. His school. Even Vanessa. No one had seen him. At 8 p.m., my phone rang again. It was Ethan. I'm with him, he said, voice tight. With Harold. I needed to know. Where are you? I'm fine. Then he hung up. I drove for hours, aimless. Angry. Scared. Ethan came home 2 days later. He looked different. Not physically, emotionally. Like something had shifted. He's not you, he said, sitting at the table. He's polite. Successful. He's got 2 other kids. A whole family. But he talks to me like I'm some kind of project. I didn't say anything. I waited. I asked him about you. About why Sarah would lie. He said they only hooked up a few times. It wasn't serious. He was married at the time. I felt sick. Do you want him to be your dad? I asked. He shook his head. I don't know what I want. I'm tired. Then, 2 days later, the DNA results came. Positive. I was Ethan's father. I cried in the kitchen, full-on sobbing, leaning against the counter like the air had left my lungs. When Ethan saw me holding the envelope, he just stared. You're mine, I said. He didn't cry. He didn't smile. He just said, I know. But the drama didn't end there. A week after that, we both received a notice from an attorney. Sarah had named Ethan as heir, yes, but she'd also left a letter with the court. In it, she wrote that Harold had blackmailed her years ago. He had known about Ethan. He just didn't care. Until he got in legal trouble and thought having a redeemed image as a father might help him in court. She was terrified of him exposing her lies, so she gave him just enough to keep him quiet. I chose wrong, again and again, she wrote. But one thing I did right was giving Ethan to Daniel, even if I lied to do it. And in her final lines. If you're reading this, Ethan, I hope you understand I was never brave. But I tried, in my own broken way. I hope the truth doesn't break you the way it broke me. Ethan didn't speak for hours after reading that. He just sat outside under the porch light, knees pulled to his chest. And me, I watched the shadows grow longer on the lawn, not knowing how to fix any of this. All I knew was that I wasn't going anywhere. Not this time. Ethan didn't talk much after reading Sarah's final letter. He kept it in a drawer by his bed, never touched it again. But I saw it, how his eyes drifted there sometimes, like it was a wound that wouldn't stop aching. Weeks passed. Then one evening he said, Harold's coming to town. I froze. Why? He says he wants to apologize. To both of us. In person. I stared at Ethan. Do you want that? He shrugged. I don't know. Maybe I just want to see him try. So we agreed. A public place. Neutral ground. A diner on the edge of town. The air was thick that night. Every small sound in the diner felt louder. Coffee cups clinking, forks scraping plates. Harold arrived wearing a blazer like he was still selling insurance. Polished. Practiced. Fake. He walked up to the booth. Ethan. Daniel. I didn't shake his hand. Neither did Ethan. He sat down. Looked us both in the eye. I want to make things right. I leaned forward. You already knew, didn't you? You knew he was your son. And you ignored him for over a decade. I didn't. You did. I cut in. And when you came crawling out of whatever mess you made, you tried to tear open old wounds. What? His face twitched. I panicked. I thought, maybe I had a shot at something good left. By manipulating a dying woman? By playing dad at the 11th hour? Ethan spoke up then. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking. You lied to my mom. Lied to me. You treated me like a headline to clean up your image. But you don't even know me. Harold tried to speak, but Ethan didn't let him. You came into my life to take something, not to give. You saw me as a tool. The diner had gone quiet. Everyone could hear. A couple at the counter turned to stare. Let me be clear, Ethan said. You're not my father. You never were. And you never will be. Harold's face darkened. He stood, muttering, I tried. That's all I can do. Then he walked out. Ethan slumped in the booth. I reached out, but he pulled his hands into his lap. Why does it still hurt, he said, even after all that? Because he still had the power to hurt you, I said. But not anymore. We left the diner in silence. Over the next few days, things shifted. Ethan seemed lighter. Not happy, exactly, but less burdened. Vanessa came by one afternoon, holding an old photo album. She wanted you to have this, she told Ethan. She kept it hidden all these years. Inside were baby pictures, his school drawings, letters I had written that never got sent. Sarah had kept them. All of them. Ethan didn't cry. He just stared, flipping through the pages like touching something sacred. She was awful to you, he said quietly, but maybe she wasn't all evil. No one ever is, I said. But we live with the choices we make. We stayed quiet for a while. I want to keep building this, he said. Us. But I need time. You've got all the time you want, I said. That night, I sat on the porch while the sun set behind the trees. I thought about the years I lost, the lies, the fights, the fear. I thought about how close I came to walking away when Ethan first showed up again. And I thought about how none of this was fair. But then I heard him laughing in the kitchen, watching some dumb video, and I knew. This was worth all of it. Ending statement. I don't know what the future holds. I've stopped pretending that life follows any rules. But for now, I've got my son. And he's got me. Maybe we're both a little broken. But we're here. We're trying. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. Daniel and Ethan cut ties with Harold for good. They continue rebuilding their relationship with cautious trust. Though Sarah is gone, her impact lingers. But the truth, painful as it was, brought clarity. And from that, a new beginning.